In the section and next, you will learn what lists are and how to start working with the elements in a list. Lists allow you to store sets of information in one place, whether you have just a few items or millions of items. Lists are one of the Python's most powerful features, readily accessible to new programmers, and they tie together many important concepts in programming. What is a list? A list is a collection of items in particular order, and you can make a list that includes the letters of the alphabet, the digits from 0 to 9, the names of all the people in your family. You can put anything you want into list. And the items in your list don't have to be related in any particular order or way. So because a list usually contains more than one element, it's a good idea to make the name of your list plural, such as instead of my special, you can write my special numbers like this, or letters, digits, or names. So in Python, these square braces indicate a list, and individual elements in the list are separated by commas here. And let's create a simple example of a list that contains a few kinds of car models or car makes. So car makes here, and here we will enter, for example, Mercedes, Mercedes here, as Benz here, and we will enter the BMW, and we will enter Volkswagen, Honda, Kia here, Hyundai here, and so on. So here we will print this car makes here. And as you can see here, we have Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Volkswagen, Honda, Kia, and Hyundai. So if you ask Python to print a list, Python returns this representation of the list, including the square braces here. So because this isn't the output you want your users to see, let's learn how to access the individual items in a list. Lists, and this is why we draw this drawing here, and we will explain on this list here. So we first created my special numbers here, as you can see here. So this associated with this here. Now let's get the here. That's it. So lists are ordered collections, so you can access any elements in a list by telling the position or index of the item desired. So to access an element in a list, write the name of the list followed by the index of the item enclosed in square braces. So now let's try with my special numbers here. So if we want to write my special numbers here, we will delete this. Let's actually delete this, my car names. And now we will enter the print my special numbers. Let's print the number 65. In order to print the 65 here, we will enter the index of the 65, 3. So remember, index starts from 0 here. And here, as you can see here, we printed 65. So that's the answer you will get here. So this is the result you want your users to see. Clean, neatly formatted output. So you can also use the strings methods in this. Let's actually delete this here. And let's make the print car makes, the car makes dot, you can also use string method. For example, car makes dot, we will use the uppercase. Car makes dot, first we will enter the, for example, 1, index 1, and upper here. Now you will see this. As you can see, BMW started with uppercase, but BMW was uppercase actually. So instead of this, let's try with Hyundai here. So 0 here, let's count this. So this is 0, 0, BMW 1, index Volkswagen 2, index of Honda is 3, index of Kia is 4, and Hyundai is 5. That's it. So we will enter the 5 here inside the square braces, and now let's run it. And as you can see here, we've written Hyundai in uppercases, and this example produces the this output here. So we can and keep in mind that index positions start at 0 and not 1. So I want to write this here because I want to the new programmers can sometimes be mistaken about the index position starting point here. So index oops, actually let's write with text here. So index positions start at 0 and not 1. That's it. Keep in mind this word here. Index positions start at 0 and not 1. That's it. Here. Now, a Python considers the first item in a list to be put at a position of 0 and not position 1. So this is true for most programming languages, and the reason has to do with how the list operations are implemented at lower level. So if you're receiving unexpected results, ask yourself if you are making a simple but common off by 1 error. So the second item in the list has an index of 1, right? Index of 1. And using this counting system, you can get any element you want from a list by subtracting 1 from its position in the list. So for instance, to access the fourth item in a list, you request the item or index at 0, right? 1, 3. So if you so the Honda is actually the fourth item in this list, but in order to access them, we will use 3 here. So now we will, let's run this again, and here, and as you can see, we got Honda here. So Python has a special syntax for accessing the last element in a list. If you ask for the item at index -1, Python always returns the last item in the list. So here, and as you can see here, Hyundai was the last item in our list. So here, let's actually do this. -1 returns -1 always returns the last item in the list here. Also keep in mind this. So that's it. Oops, sorry, not like this. -1 always returns the last item in the list. That's it. So this code here, as you can see, it returned Hyundai, and this syntax is quite useful because you will often want to access the last items in a list without knowing exactly how long the list is. So this convention extends to other negative index values as well. For example, -2 returns the second item from the end of the list, and -3 returns the third item in the end of the list, and so forth. So you can also use the individual values from a list. So you can use individual values from a list just as you would any other variable. For example, you can use f strings to create a message based on a value from a list. So let's try pulling the first our car model from the list and composing a message that uses that value. So now here we will do this. Print. Let's make the we will use the f here, and now my first car was let's say BMW here, and we will use this braces, but BMW, so car makes that 1 because the BMW index has 1, and we will use this, for example, title, right? And here my first car was a BMW.